Hello and happy Monday. It's July 17th, 2023. My name is Michael Leeserman. I'm here with the Trial Guide's tip of the day. Today's tip comes from David Ball, who's here with us. Hello, David.
How are you today, Michael?
Would you please read? I'm doing great. And I'll be even better after you read your tip from David Ball on Damages 3, please.
I will do it. Verdict size is influenced by how jurors feel about the plaintiff or the plaintiff's family. Jurors who like the plaintiff or consider the plaintiff's family good folks tend to give more money. That should not discourage you from taking clients who are not automatically good folks. What you need to do instead is learn ways to make the humanity, the decency, the parts of your clients and their family that are good, and there will always be some. I think I've worked on 2 cases in 31 years, and I'm a consultant, so I work on a lot more cases than lawyers do. Not because I'm better than lawyers, but I don't need thousands of hours and hundreds of hours to put into one case. But you can always find the good. What do they do? I don't care if all they do is pay their taxes on time, but they do something good. How hard do they have to work to pay their taxes on time? So always look, including when they're automatically good folks, for the things that will resonate with the jurors about what makes these people worthwhile. I'll grant you, sometimes that can't be done, but it's very, very rare, and it usually just means you haven't looked hard enough. Sometimes you have a thoroughly unattractive person, I don't mean physically. Sometimes you have a person who, by stereotype, an illegal immigrant or something like that. For years, it was the welfare mom, things like that. And what you would do is you look for things about that person that are exceptions to the stereotype. So you take whatever the stereotype is, like of an illegal immigrant, they do this, they steal our money, they steal our jobs, they send all their money back to Mexico or wherever they're from, and they hide things or they stick to themselves in little groups and all that stuff. And you find, what is the exceptions about what your clients? So there's something they can admire. You use the surround about them as a negative force that they rise above somehow. This can take some creative thinking. But the primary question of every juror is, why would I give money here? Why would I allow money for a verdict? I mean, hell, money for pain ain't going to do any good. It's just to compensate. Why would I want to shift that money from one place to another place? Well, if they're not good folks, I really don't want to do it. So you need to find things they can give themselves a reason to do it, or that can get in your way and just push the damages right on down. And it's a shame how often that happens. And most of the time when it happens, it's because plaintiff's counsel allowed it to happen. They allowed the other thing that plays in here is you may love your client, but you've known your client for a year or 2. The jury gets these brief glimpses of them sitting at the table. Maybe they testify. So they're seeing from a totally different point of view. So what are they going to see? And I can't tell you. I used to do jury focus groups before. I partnered with Artemis, who does our focus groups for us, Artemis Malekpour, and she does the partnerships focus groups. But when I did them, every so often, I would bring the client in and cross-examine them live. And I can't tell you how many cases in the focus group, you can tell we're on the rise. The jurors loved this case. And in comes the client, and they just didn't like the way the client was dressed, or the jewelry, or the suit, or whatever. Stuff they didn't like. And that was great because we could find out what it was and do something about it. But when they don't like what's there, they tend to trust the client less, and therefore they trust you less. Because if I look at your client and think, I don't trust that person, or I don't think they're deserving, and then I hear you saying the opposite, I start to distrust you, and that you don't deserve to have a client who makes a bunch of money. So this is a very serious problem, and people just don't pay it enough attention. Don't fret about it. Don't say, oh my God, I've got the worst clients in the world. Learn. The book has stuff on it. A bunch of lawyers out there have stuff on it. Many listservs you can get advice on. People you've seen teach whose work you like. All of them, they won't mind it. They'll be flattered. What do I do with this? And you'll get ideas, but don't panic about it. It's no different than dealing with a complex law in a case. You don't say, oh my God, that law is too complex for me to deal with. Neither is this. And I really suggest you tend to it well.
And I love what you're saying because I feel like one of the things I love the most about my job, and when I'm really doing it well, and it takes a lot of time and effort, but that's finding the good in my client and bringing that to trial. And it also requires us to have a trust in the jury, right? That they will relate to that good. But like you said, there's some clients it's easier to find than others. And it's there. You're right. Maybe 1 in 30 years or something. You said I could give an example that comes to mind, but short of that, there's always some good to find, and that's our job as plaintiffs, trial lawyers, to get in and spend the time and find it.
Well,
It's not something a paralegal can do. You got to do it yourself.
some gifted paralegals can handle that for you. Then you're not the same when you're doing it in front of the jury. One of the things jury voir dire is for you to learn about some of the values and preferences of the juror, because that's a guide for what to look for in your client. Find those cross things. Remember, it is not what works for you. You're a lawyer, a very specialized, I say with all due respect, narrow point of view. That's going to be different from the 6 or 12 folks you've got. So voir dire, or a lifetime of doing voir dires, if you get to do them, and focus groups all the time. Go to focus groups. I don't care if they're not for your cases. Get your lawyer friends who allow you to go watch theirs, and you learn more and more and more about what is important to jurors, especially in the area that you practice in. I mean in the location you're practicing. It's another bridge building thing. The law is not about you demonstrating something for your client. The law is about creating a group of people who are going to work with you to do what your client needs done for you. And that's why this particular little advice of the day, I think is more important than people that display by paying so little attention so often.
Thank you for what's not so little advice. Thank you for this very big advice and for your wisdom in being here today, David.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Let's take a deep breath together and be aware of being alive, be grateful to be alive today. May we work today to reduce suffering in the world. May our efforts as lawyers and as people help to repair the world. May we fiercely and compassionately advocate for our clients and champion their stories this Monday. All right, I'm going to ring a bell 3 times now. This can take you into a meditation practice, a prayer practice, or just remind you it's Monday. Go out, do good things, and have fun while you're doing it.